Martell Holt has officially lost his cool, and this time, it's not just another argument for TV drama. When Martell snapped on Nell, calling her actions a slap in my face, fans knew something deeper was boiling beneath the surface. What really pushed Martell to the edge this time? Was it betrayal, jealousy, or something far more personal? Because when Martell gets angry, it's never just about one thing. And trust me, this explosion on Love and Marriage Huntsville changes everything for everyone involved. For years, Martell has been one of the most talked about personalities on reality TV. Admired by some, criticized by others, but always impossible to ignore. His charisma, confidence, and bold honesty have made him both a standout and a lightning rod for controversy. But what happened during his blow-up with Nell was different. This wasn't just a heated argument for the cameras. This was a moment that peeled back the layers of Martell's pride, his pain, and his ongoing struggle to balance ego and emotion. Tonight, we're diving deep into the truth behind Martell Holt's explosive confrontation, uncovering what really went down, why he reacted the way he did, and how this single moment is shaking up not only the cast dynamic, but Martell's public image as well. Because this isn't just about a disagreement, it's about trust, loyalty, and the fragile line between friendship and betrayal. By the end of this video, you'll understand why fans are saying this moment may have changed the way everyone looks at Martell Holt forever. Long before the cameras captured Martell's outburst, tension had already been building behind the scenes. What viewers saw was the explosion, but this storm had been brewing for weeks. Martell, known for his fiery temper and unfiltered opinions, has never been one to hold back when he feels disrespected. In this particular case, what Nell did wasn't just something he disagreed with. It touched a nerve. It struck at the core of what Martell values most in any relationship: loyalty. Now, to understand why this moment hits so hard, you have to look at where Martell is emotionally right now. Over the past few years, he's been on a roller coaster, from public scandals and a painful divorce from Melody Holt, to ongoing battles over reputation, fatherhood, and rebuilding his image. Martell has been trying to prove he's changed, that he's grown beyond the man the world once judged. But growth isn't always linear, and when you're constantly under the microscope, every small betrayal feels magnified. For Martell, Nell was one of the people he considered to be in his corner. She's been seen as the calm, understanding type, someone who often tries to mediate instead of escalate. But sometimes that role can backfire. In this case, a decision Nell made during a group outing, which might have seemed harmless to some, felt to Martell like a betrayal. And when you've spent years feeling like people are turning on you, that kind of action doesn't just sting. It triggers every insecurity you've tried to bury. For Martell, who has spent years trying to rebuild after his highly publicized divorce from Melody Holt, this conversation wasn't just another TV scene. It was a raw, human moment that exposed how much he's still struggling to let go. And while Martell has often presented himself as strong, composed, and in control, this episode peeled back the layers, showing us that even now, his pain over losing Melody runs far deeper than he wants anyone to know. The trigger for all of this? Something simple, but deeply symbolic. Melody officially changing her last name from Holt. From the outside, a name change might seem like a minor update, just paperwork. But for Martell, it represented the end of a shared identity, a final, undeniable signal that the chapter of the Holts is closed forever. What unfolded in this conversation with Nell wasn't just anger or defensiveness, it was grief. It was a man realizing, maybe for the first time, that the person he once built his world around has truly moved on. And when that realization hit him, you could see it in his face, hear it in his voice, and feel it in every pause between his words. When Nell arrived at Martell's home, the energy seemed calm and cordial. They greeted each other warmly, shared a smile, and began with small talk, chatting about the yard, the flowers, and a bottle of wine Chris had sent over. On the surface, it looked like a friendly visit between two people who have known each other for years. But underneath that polite exchange was tension, quiet, unspoken, and heavy. Both of them knew this wasn't just going to be a casual check-in. There was a reason Nell was there, and Martell could sense that whatever it was it probably would hit a sensitive nerve. As they sat down, the conversation naturally drifted to the last time they'd seen each other, the barbecue. Both admitted that it hadn't been the most comfortable gathering. The tension between Martell and Melody had been obvious to everyone there. Nell mentioned that she noticed Melody hadn't spoken to him that day, and Martell quickly agreed, saying it was hard not to notice. He said it didn't sit right with him because despite everything that's happened between them, he always tries to remain cordial. "I'll always speak," he said, "even if people don't speak back." It sounded confident, like he was trying to shrug it off, but you could hear the strain underneath. It mattered to him. It bothered him, because no matter how much he insists he's moved on, Melody's silence still cuts deep. Martell went on to say that he doesn't like rude behavior, and that it wouldn't have hurt Melody to at least say hello. He pointed out that they do occasionally speak in other settings, so her decision to ignore him at the barbecue felt deliberate, and that stung. For Martell, that kind of public rejection wasn't just about manners. It was a reminder of how much distance now separates them. Once upon a time, they were partners, soulmates, and the faces of a family empire. Now, they were two people in the same space who could barely acknowledge each other. That's a kind of pain that pride alone can't mask. Nell listened with empathy, but slowly steered the conversation toward what she really came to talk about, Melody's name change. She mentioned that Melody was planning to have a small celebration, a kind of party to mark the occasion of legally changing her last name from Holt back to her maiden name. It was meant to be symbolic, a joyful acknowledgement of her independence and growth after years of public struggle. But the moment those words left her mouth, Martell's demeanor changed instantly. His posture stiffened, his voice dropped a tone, and the light in his expression dimmed. It was clear the topic hit him harder than he expected. He admitted that hearing about the name change made everything feel real. That simple phrase, said twice, carried the weight of years of emotion. It was Martell's way of saying that, for all the changes and time that had passed, he'd still been holding on to some small piece of connection to Melody. The name Holt had always represented something larger than just a title. It was family, unity, legacy. It was the name that tied their marriage, their children, and their shared accomplishments together. So hearing that she was letting it go, publicly and permanently, felt like losing the last visible thread linking them together. Martell's voice softened as he explained that the name wasn't just a legal formality. It held meaning. Memories of the home they built, the business they created, the family they raised. Every milestone they reached had that name attached to it. Watching Melody now move forward without it made him feel erased, like all the good parts of their story were being scrubbed away. He didn't raise his voice or lash out right away. Instead, you could hear the pain in his pauses, the frustration in his attempts to stay composed. This wasn't just anger, it was heartbreak. Nell could see the emotion in Martell's face, and she responded with care. She told him she understood that this was painful, and that it's not easy seeing someone you once loved completely detach. But she also reminded him that she's in a delicate position. She's friends with both him and Melody. She expressed that she loves them both and doesn't want to take sides. Then she gently revealed that she had been invited to Melody's name change celebration, and that she planned to attend. Those words changed the atmosphere completely. Martell's face shifted from sadness to shock, then to disbelief, and finally to anger. His tone sharpened as he said that he couldn't believe she'd attend such an event. For him, this wasn't just another party, it was personal. The look in his eyes said everything. He felt betrayed. In his mind, Melody's celebration wasn't just a name change, it was a public statement that she was officially done with him. And for someone he considered a close friend to show up in support of that felt like a slap in the face. Nell tried to explain that her attendance wasn't about taking sides or disrespecting him. It was about supporting Melody and reclaiming her independence. But Martell couldn't see it that way. To him, it was black and white. If you go to that party, he told her, you can't claim to be my friend. It was a painful line drawn out of pride, emotion, and unresolved hurt. Martell's frustration wasn't just about Nell's choice. It was about the feeling that the people around him were moving on while he was still stuck in the same emotional place. He went on to argue that the event itself was unnecessary and cruel. "We divorced 2 years ago," he said sharply. "A divorce party? I'd understand. But a name change party?" His voice cracked slightly with disbelief. To him, the celebration wasn't about joy or closure. It was about humiliation, a reminder that his ex-wife was not only done with him, but proud of it. He even went as far as to say that the Fletchers, both Nell and Chris, shouldn't attend because in his eyes, being there meant choosing a side and not his. But beneath the anger, you could still sense the pain. Martell wasn't just lashing out because of a party, he was reacting to the feeling of being left behind. Over the past few years, he's faced public scrutiny, judgment, and loss. His marriage, his image, his family structure, all gone. And now even the shared name that once represented unity was being taken away. That's not something a man like Martell, who thrives on control and pride, can easily accept. Nell tried to bring some perspective, reminding him that closure looks different for everyone. She said that Melody wasn't doing this to hurt him. She was doing it for herself, for her own healing. But Martell couldn't separate those two ideas. To him, everything Melody does publicly still feels like a reaction to him. So when Nell said she planned to attend the celebration, it felt like an endorsement of something that deeply wounded him. The tension between them thickened, and for a moment, Martell went quiet. Then, out of nowhere, he shifted the conversation to something from the past, something that clearly still haunts him. He said, "I could say you were in my face when you had the affair." Nell was taken aback, visibly stunned. She told him she didn't know what he was talking about. Martell claimed that Melody had admitted to an affair during their marriage and told Nell to ask her. Nell looked completely caught off guard, insisting she'd never heard that before. But Martell doubled down, repeating, "What I'm saying is facts." That moment revealed the depth of Martell's lingering resentment. Even after all this time, he's still holding on to the pain of betrayal and the collapse of their marriage. This conversation wasn't just about the present, it was about every wound that had never properly healed. His emotions weren't just about a name change, they were about everything he lost, everything he still can't quite let go of. Eventually, the conversation reached its breaking point. Martell stood up, said, "I'm gone," and walked away, leaving Nell sitting there, emotional, confused, and heavy-hearted. There was no hug, no resolution, no closure, just silence. This scene ended with Nell looking down, visibly upset, and Martell storming out, carrying all the weight he still refuses to put down. This exchange between Martell and Nell wasn't just another dramatic reality TV moment. It was raw and painfully real. It exposed a truth about heartbreak that many people experience, but few are willing to admit. That moving on isn't always about time passing, it's about emotional acceptance. Martell wants to project confidence and strength, but deep down, he's still tethered to Melody. He still sees her actions through the lens of their past relationship, and every reminder that she's moving forward without him feels like rejection. His pride and his pain are tangled together in a way that makes it almost impossible for him to find peace. For Melody, on the other hand, this name change represents freedom. It's not about pettiness or revenge, it's about reclaiming her identity after years of being defined by a relationship that no longer exists. She's not trying to hurt Martell, she's simply stepping fully into her own life again. But for Martell, who once saw their union as unbreakable, every sign of her independence feels like another door closing in his face. Nell, caught in the middle, represents reason and balance. She's not choosing sides, she's choosing peace. She understands that both Martell and Melody are on different journeys, and both are valid. But Martell's inability to see that just shows how stuck he still is in the emotional aftermath of their breakup.
His sense of loyalty and betrayal is deeply personal. To him, friendship means alignment. If you stand with someone he perceives as against him, you've chosen your place. And while that mindset is understandable from a place of pain, it's also isolating. It keeps him trapped in a cycle of anger and loss. The symbolism of the name change is powerful. For Melody, it's a declaration. I am no longer defined by that marriage. For Martell, it's a reminder. You are no longer part of her world. And that's why it hurts so much. Because in his heart, even if he'll never admit it publicly, Martell still hoped that some connection, even if just a name, might tie them together forever.
In the end, what we witnessed wasn't just television drama, it was human vulnerability. It was a man confronting the painful truth that love, once lost, doesn't always fade neatly into the background. Martell may call Melody's celebration a slap in the face, but in reality, it's a mirror. It reflects where he is emotionally, still standing at the edge of the past while everyone else has begun to move forward. His anger, his defensiveness, his pride, they all mask the same thing: heartbreak. Nell's calmness, Melody's independence, and Martell's frustration together paint a picture of what letting go really looks like. It's messy, it's emotional, it's uncomfortable, but it's also necessary. Melody's name change is not an attack, it's a declaration of self-ownership. Martell's reaction shows that closure doesn't come with time, it comes with acceptance. And until he learns to accept that the story of the Holtz has ended, he'll keep reliving it in moments like this. Sources close to production say that Martell felt blindsided, that Nell's move undermined him publicly. And for someone who's built his life around control, pride, and image, being caught off guard like that was enough to light the fuse. The truth is, Martell isn't just reacting to this one situation. He's reacting to years of feeling misunderstood, blamed, and dismissed. Nell's decision became the final straw in a pile of unresolved frustration. To outsiders, it might seem like Martell overreacted, but for him, loyalty isn't just a preference, it's a principle. Martell has often said that once he considers someone part of his inner circle, he expects them to have his back no matter what. And that expectation runs deep, especially because he's had so many people turn on him publicly. From friends to castmates to his ex-wife, Martell's world has been defined by shifting alliances and public judgment. So when Nell made a move that, in his eyes, aligned her with someone he no longer trusted, it wasn't just disappointing, it was personal. It felt like yet another example of someone choosing sides against him, and in Martell's mind, that's unforgivable. This is also about image. Martell's relationship with perception has always been complicated. He wants to be seen as a man of integrity and strength, someone who doesn't tolerate disrespect. But the downside is, when that respect feels threatened, he reacts defensively. Every slight becomes an attack, every disagreement a betrayal. It's the kind of emotional wiring that keeps Martell in constant battle mode, even when no one's really trying to fight. Fans online were quick to pick sides after the confrontation aired. Some said they understood Martell's frustration, that he's been betrayed too many times and just reached his limit. Others accused him of projecting his past trauma onto new situations, unable to separate genuine disrespect from his own emotional triggers. And honestly, both sides might be right. At its core, this wasn't about what Nell did, it was about what it represented to Martell. Her action reopened an old wound, one that's been festering since his marriage ended. It reminded him that trust is fragile and loyalty, once broken, feels impossible to rebuild. By the time the confrontation happened, everyone could feel the tension in the room. The air was thick with unspoken emotion. Martell's shoulders were tight, his jaw clenched, that telltale sign that he was holding back more than he was saying. Nell, on the other hand, seemed caught off guard. She tried to explain herself, but Martell wasn't having it. When he finally leaned in and said, "That right there, Nell, that's a slap in my face," the energy shifted instantly. It wasn't just the words,
It was the way he said them. Sharp, deliberate, filled with disappointment more than anger. In that moment, you could see a man who wasn't just furious, he was hurt. For viewers, it was one of the rawest moments of the season. There was no shouting match, no over-the-top theatrics, just raw emotions spilling over after being bottled up too long. Even the other cast members looked uncomfortable, unsure of whether to step in or let the two work it out. It was the kind of silence that says everything. And while the cameras kept rolling, something deeper was unfolding. This wasn't about Nell anymore. It was about Martell confronting every emotion he's been trying to suppress. Guilt, pain, insecurity, and pride. His words weren't just directed at Nell. They were aimed at everyone who's ever made him feel small, unseen, or betrayed. The irony is, in that vulnerable moment, Martell probably wanted to be understood more than he wanted to be right. But instead of coming across as hurt, his intensity made him look angry. That's something we've seen with him again and again. The inability to express pain without it turning into rage. It's a defense mechanism, and it's part of what makes him both fascinating and frustrating to watch.
After the episode aired, social media exploded. Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube comment sections lit up with debates over who was right and who was wrong. Some viewers said Nell should have known better, that she crossed an emotional line with someone as volatile as Martell. Others felt like Martell proved, once again, that he hasn't fully learned how to control his temper or separate emotion from ego. One comment that stood out read, "Martell doesn't get mad for no reason. He gets mad when people pretend to care, but then embarrass him." Another viewer wrote, "This isn't about loyalty, it's about control. Martell wants everyone to revolve around him." Both interpretations reflect the complex character that Martell has become on Love and Marriage Huntsville. He's not the villain, but he's not the hero either. He's human, messy, flawed, and emotional. And that's exactly why audiences can't look away. Behind the scenes, this confrontation also created ripple effects among the cast. Relationships shifted, lines were drawn. Some people began to distance themselves from the chaos, while others took sides. That's the thing about reality TV. Every argument has consequences that last long after the cameras stop rolling. And for Martell, the fallout from this particular moment could define how he's perceived for the rest of the season. What makes this situation even more interesting is how self-aware Martell can be when he's calm. In interviews, he's admitted that his biggest challenge is not reacting emotionally when he feels attacked. He knows he has a tendency to explode instead of explain. But knowing your flaw and fixing it are two very different things. If you strip away the cameras and the controversy, what you're left with is a man who's clearly still dealing with emotional scars. Martell's journey has been one of rebuilding, not just his reputation, but his sense of self-worth. Every argument, every headline, every viral clip feeds into that same internal battle between pride and pain. And that's exactly why moments like this are so powerful. They show the human side of reality TV, the side that isn't scripted or staged, but born out of real emotion. Martell Holt is someone who wants to be respected, who wants to be understood, and who feels like no matter what he does, people keep seeing him as the bad guy. So when someone like Nell, someone he trusts, does something that feels like betrayal, it reopens that narrative he's been trying to escape. It's easy to judge Martell from a distance, but if you really pay attention, what we're witnessing isn't just a man losing his temper, it's a man fighting not to lose himself. Every reaction, every confrontation, every outburst comes from a place of pain that he hasn't fully healed from. And that's what makes this particular moment resonate with so many people. Because whether you love him or not, there's something relatable about feeling like you're always misunderstood. So the question remains, was Martell justified in his anger toward Nell, or did he let his emotions get the best of him yet again? Maybe it's a bit of both. Maybe Martell's frustration is valid, but his delivery keeps sabotaging his own message. Or maybe, as some fans believe, this was a wake-up call, not for Nell, but for Martell himself. Because until he learns how to process betrayal without letting it consume him,
he'll keep reliving the same story over and over. What's certain is this: that one moment, those few words, a slap in my face, will echo throughout the rest of the season. It's not just a soundbite, it's a symbol of where Martell is in his journey. And whether you love him or not, you can't deny, when Martell Holt loses his cool, the whole world watches. So, what do you think? Was Martell's anger justified, or did Nell simply become the latest target of his unresolved emotions? Drop your thoughts below. I'll be reading the comments. And if you love deep dives like this into the emotional drama behind Love and Marriage Huntsville, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we're just getting started.